here on Vanny Research Station, and we are in the final match of the evening. Unfortunately, Kilgore Trout had to forfeit the evening, so we have only got 3 players. So we've got a rematch between our top of the map Zergling player. He is a Zergling. He's not quite fully grown into a Zerg, I don't believe. Not until he's GM like our hero Caitlin. He is formerly of Team IBD, but I don't think they're around anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, though. It is Tempo. And his opponent, who won the first series when they faced each other, it is the teamless and carefree Kunamatata. Tempo actually expanding onto the third base first, so going for that upfront hatchery. I guess I've seen some people do that to get it established, since it's the one that's going to end up being harder to defend. It's easier to take your in-base one a little bit later on than it is to try and take that one later on. You can get things like spine crawlers and queens and creep and everything set up at that location, then worry about the inside a little bit further along in the game. Gas has been taken, Tempo mining from that. Gas on Kunamatata's side, as well as we have the Reaper coming out, a second one on its way as well. Still mining away at that. I would expect once again a factory probably to go down after this command center has been started, and we'll get the Hellions yet again. Reaper will make its way across. 4 lings are already on the way out, and they'll be pretty much done as this starts to hop up and in to the base. He actually didn't get close enough to check that there was a base in the third position, so he may be a little initially confused to go down and see that there's nothing here. I think it will probably occur to him to go and check the other location, and of course it does. He makes a beeline directly for it and sees that the base is in fact over here instead. Going after one of the drones, turning itself into a spore crawler immediately. Speed is on the way. Second Reaper is joining along, trying to go after one of these drones. Gets one of them there. And a ling going down. Reapers do escape. Queen at this base at least. Obviously no creep connecting just yet. Speed still about 45 seconds away. But Reaper's playing it safe, backing off, back in the Terran main base. He's getting a third command center out, also working on those 2 Hellions. Yet again, pretty standard thing to be doing here. Tech Lab is being added onto the barracks as the Reapers go back home to meet up with their Hellion buddies and maybe go on a little bit of an expedition yet again. Baneling nest coming down for Tempo, and the third hatchery inside the base is being taken here now. Hellions coming across may catch these lings that now do have speed. They will pass each other. I think they would have seen each other briefly there. Definitely the Overlord spotting the Hellion Reaper combination, and will cause the lings to actually turn around to come and assist, although they sneak off to the side yet again, thinking about it, and hiding in an interesting location down by the main. Hellions looking to come in against 2 queens that are here. Creep is being connected between the 2 bases. One queen kind of wandering off, and without the support of another will actually fall here before the other comes in. And nothing really killed in that. Now, only one of the Hellions even damaged a little bit there, as some of the fire was focused on a Reaper, which will obviously just end up repairing itself. But not a lot of damage taken or anything, just beyond that single queen and a few lings. Drones really not actually attacked here at all. Just the initial one lost that was actually transferring between the main and the natural. Kunamatata this time going towards the mineral line. He does get spotted, however, and Lings come, not actually finishing off a Hellion yet again. He's looking to actually trap them against this wall. Could have finished off one of the Reapers there, but did pull back, wanting to avoid another volley of Hellion fire. Queen now in position to block kind of that run-by location. So good thing he had an Overlord over to spot that they had veered off to the left there to make that maneuver. Overlord also at the third base of Kunamatata, so he will see this command center floating off and know the location, or not location, but know the timing that this location is actually taken. Medevacs starting to be pumped out. And the lair is almost done on Tempo's side of things. I would expect a Spire after that, going into Mutilating Bane style. But he's actually still a bit light on gas. I guess he's got 3. It's not too bad. He's not, I guess I was looking, he didn't take him the natural, but in his case, the natural is his 3rd. So I guess that's not too uncommon. Has 1 extra drone on a gas in the main base. Lings scouting around as a 4th base is then put down, figuring that the area is relatively clear. Clear enough at least to allow such things. Turrets are now going up in the natural at least, which is really hard to run back to. So definitely the high priority place to really defend there. And the Spire is indeed what's coming down, as well as another round of 11 drones, which will actually put him in the worker lead by just a little bit. Terran economy hasn't really been questioned all that much. A drop in the 3rd base here. Hellions, Reapers, Marines doing a lot of work. We'll get surrounded by these Lings, but there's not a lot of them here, and there's a lot of healing. And without these units, he's kind of got free reign. 30 more Lings on the way. Will there be enough to actually dent this? He's going to have to sacrifice a few more of these drones, hopefully not the hatchery here, before he can make an attack in earnest against this position. But he just doesn't have enough. He will just lose this hatch. He's got the 4th base to fall back on, so it's not the absolute end of the world, but if he lost what he had piecemeal, that would have been much, much worse. The Banelings trying to be morphed in. Few will finish here, enough to go off, causing the pickup there into one of the medevacs. Tempo is temporary supply blocked here as well, as the Overlords do get picked off. And that one actually really hurts because he wanted to use this moment to go very strongly into Butalisks, and having to stop and build 2 Overlords and now deal with the 2nd push up towards the 4th base is going to be a bit of an issue, not the least of reasons being that there's 4 Mutalisks just kind of sitting there, which are going to get seen immediately, and if they get involved in the fight, they very likely will not live. Creep in this area is not spread all that well, or not yet. Obviously, it's a new base. He's got creep out to the location, but he would have to engage off creep with these Banelings if he does want to do anything about this. Trying to get some sort of angle here, but there's just not a lot. Little surprise Baneling hits, getting little victories as a 2nd group looks to be coming in. Tempo will call GG here, though, as he loses that. There was also another drop now going on in the main base, so overall he was just being absolutely ripped apart. We are here on the 2nd game of the final series of the night. We're on Expedition Lost. I don't know where they were trying to get to on their expedition. I think they all had to eat each other. It was pretty sad. This almost looks like a little bit like a frozen version of the Secret Spring or something. There's chasms in the middle instead of the river. So up here on the top right-hand side of the map, we have the teamless Terran, who is currently up 1-0 in this series and took 2 games in a previous series against Tempo, looking to close this out and be the second player to advance out of Group C. He is the teamless Kunamatata. And down on the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have representing Team IVD. It is the one, the only, the lyrical poet. Just in case you didn't know it, it is Tempo. Going for the spawning pool there on the edge of the base. That can serve as a little bit of a trapping point to prevent things from Hellions from sliding in when you can create a little choke like that. Hatchery is about to finish up front, pretty close to the ramp. It's a reasonably tight little ramp. This is a generally good area to kind of control the flow of things. It can be hard to do run-bys, can be hard to make Hellions or Reapers really work a whole lot up that ramp, as they're kind of choked into like this little 2-tier system. There's only so much area. You would think, almost by looking at it, you could think that by this ice in the back, a Reaper could make it up and down. They actually specifically designed it in such a way that they can't do that. So he does have to use the main doors, or at least the main ledges. Shooting away at this last ling. 2 more coming on out. Still alive. Still alive. Queen joins along. Second Reaper does come up. Oh, will this one fall? Will not. But does get pushed back. Terran once again going for the factory. Once again going for the 3rd command center. Probably thinking at this point, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It has been working out for him to do this, so why even bother varying it up if it's been a stunning success thus far? Red Reaper will have to pull back. One more shot would take him out, but gets safely out of range. 2 kills on one on the other, but they are just lings, I believe. At this point, there have been no workers killed on either side of things. Coming back in again. There's no speed or anything underway for Tempo either. He's actually not started that yet. He's got a few too many drones on both gases. He's got 1 on one, 2 on the other. So an extra 3. Drone is sneaking out under the cover of a few lings to take the 3rd base. He overcompensated. Now 2 drones on one location, 4 on the other. It's the right number, wrong locations. Nice little wall off being created with the Evo chamber. The drone actually never made the hatchery, does get picked off there by the Hellions. And we get a spine coming down behind us as well, so kind of creating a little bit of a channel. 3 queens up top. He's going to become pretty immune to harassment from this position. He's not going to be able to get up there and do anything. But at the same time, it's going to be hard to take the 3rd base just now, because largely because speed isn't done. The roaches that will inevitably be coming out will likely help with this, but none are on the way yet. So it definitely will be a fairly late 3rd for our Zerg, assuming that he even does want to take it at all. A bunker is coming down for a Terran, as well as a semi-wall out of these engineering bays in the lower depots, which can be brought up at their convenience. The army has gone home with the Hellions and Reapers intact. And it's been this that's happened a couple times, that this army, while it doesn't really get a lot done, eventually makes it back home alive, and it forms maybe not a central, but a fairly important part of an early army. When it comes to dropping or a push out later, that it's just a few extra units that do have to be taken care of and can deal with Zerg fairly well. Third base has now been planted for Tempo here on the bottom right-hand side of things. Scan going off in the main base to see what is going on. We'll catch that the roach warren is upgrading something with the little weird mouth inside of it, doing all kinds of little weird things. Tempo's staking out the possible third locations with overlords, dropping creep in one and moving towards the other. The third command center is done, and it actually has been done for quite some time. He's oversaturated in the main right now, just slightly under in the natural, but pretty good. Okay, he's transferring 3 or 4 right now to clear that up, and he's got pretty even on both sides of things, but he'll be looking definitely to move out for a third base at some point here quite soon. Roaches are coming up front, are going to take a poke at the front of the base, but this is going to be a hard one for him to really get into. Will snipe off that one supply depot, but this isn't really an attack force or an all-in or anything like that. At least not at all yet. He is adding on a Hydralisk den behind this, and I like that. It's a deviation from what he's been trying to do. He keeps trying to get to Munilists in a decent number, and then ends up kind of dying on the way there, because I guess there's a tendency, one, it takes some investment to get there in the first place, and also a Zerg will want to bank up to like 700 to make an initial batch of them, and it's in that period that you're actually quite vulnerable, and that's where he's died or at least taken a lot of damage on a couple of occasions. A drop coming in now to the main base, hopefully spotted by that overlord if he was paying attention. 3 queens coming out. He will land with this force. 2 spores are up there, making it a little harder for the medevac, but unfortunately they're not like spines or anything. One of the medevacs does go down, which is a good little pickup for the queens there. And creep tumors in the back of his base. He'll put even more spores, trying to cut off this as a drop location. And if he could get the spores a little more advanced towards the ice, that could definitely work out for him. Third base now up and running, but the overall drone count is quite low. It's going to take Kunamatata a little while for him to actually land this third base. His work count is superior, but he can't really mine from it because he's oversaturated in a few locations. The roach is moving in, taking a couple shots from a tank here. Stimming the whole army is really the only damage done considerably on both sides. And he'll eventually get this third base. It's not that he can't get it physically established, it's that he can't land the thing due to creep, which is clearing up underneath. Takes about a minute once it is fully spread on the ground, and now that it is cleared out, he'll be able to go ahead and land and actually start mining from location. He's not doing it right away though, so the SCVs are going to make one more long distance round, which, you know, makes a difference. It's just extra income he's not getting right now. Supply block for Tempo there as an overlord is picked off. We've got an infestation pit coming out, 7 Hydralisks joining this already present 3. Good creep spread up the middle so far. That hasn't been overly harassed here. Third base has actually landed now for Kunamatata. Fourth base is coming down for Tempo. And he's going up to Hive here directly. So it could be to add on Viper, it could be to eventually add on Hydralisk, or not Hydralisk, Ultralisk. Ultimately, I guess it really is just both. A drop is trying to and come into this third base location. 2 spores are up in a pretty good position. However, he'll have to deal with the few that come out as he is dropping a little bit early here. Spores will go to work on the medevac, driving it back. However, that will be taken down. Gives time for the drones to evacuate here. The slightly slower than Ling's army will not get there in time to save the base itself, but he can transfer the drones over to the 4th that has just gone up and is currently gone unmined as he gets that reestablished. Oh, and pickup of the drop itself is actually quite big. He will try and reestablish that, hopefully noticing, yeah, the drones will move on over to that 4th base location as the Hydra Roach army makes its way across the map. Both armies are at 2-2, but 3-3 is on the way for our Terran. Good little location here. Terran is coming up, but with the siege tanks now in position. There's a good concave, though, and he will break through the bioforce here and get on top of the siege tanks, and they will go down, but the reinforcements will clean up the rest of this and drive a very small force actually back. They are fighting off creep, so the Terran will plow on through. 6 more Roaches, 6 more Hydras are going to be joining up with this main force and try and hold off the Kunamatata, but luckily was able to at least limit the siege tank count to a more reasonable number. If there were 7 or 8 at this point, it would be much harder to make any sort of meaningful attack into it. And 4 Vipers coming out now. It's going to take a little bit while for them to actually pop out to begin with, but then get the requisite energy to make either blinding clouds or pulls in an effective way. Barracks being added down, as well as a few more command centers in various locations as we get Kunamatata trying to really fortify his position. The Zerg army is slipping by to the other potential 3rd base location and will actually start going after the ice here. Will Kunamatata respond to this? He's got to know about it as it goes down. The army is moving in up on top of the production. The Terran does have to pull back to deal with this. Tempo is actually going to try and get out, but he's completely surrounded here. This is just a one-way death trip and just a complete loss of the army. Yeah, unfortunately just gets completely surrounded. And yeah, probably realizing that he should have just committed up into the base at that point. And gone after whatever production he could actually get. Still not dead yet or anything. No, not quite. Spire is just about to finish. Vipers are there if you can get a few pulls, but definitely losing those units does hurt a lot, because a lot of that was the Hydra damage that he did lose. Gets 1 tank there in the background. The Vipers get a good blinding cloud up on this entire army, basically. Will get in close enough to take out 2 tanks here as the Terran does go for the back rocks. Will he have enough for more blinding clouds? No, not yet. Reinforcements getting picked off as they go down, and Kunamatata able to take this series, and he will be the 2nd player to advance out of the group. Tempo unfortunately falling twice to the same player, which is always frustrating, but that's the way it does work out with.